Welcome to Sales Comp Decoded, the show where we explore the stories behind how companies pay people to sell. I am Abimbola. In our last episode, we look at why sales compensation design should always begin with the behavior you want to encourage, rather than just picking a commission rate. Today, I want to examine another decision. It's one that sits quietly inside almost every sales compensation plan, but rarely gets questioned. And that is, how much financial risk should a single salesperson carry? To answer that, picture two people. They have the exact same job title. They joined their companies at the same time and they were both offered target earnings of 80,000 euros. The first person receives 48,000 euros as a fixed salary. The remaining 32,000 depends on performance. In compensation language, we call that a 60-40 pay mix. 60% is fixed, 40% is variable. Now, our second person also has a target earning of 80,000 euros. But for them, only 32,000 is fixed. The remaining 48,000 depends entirely on performance. That is a 40-60 pay mix. The headline number is identical, 80,000 euros, but their day-to-day financial reality is completely different. One person has 16,000 euros more in guaranteed annual income. The other carries massive uncertainty every single month. Let's stay with that difference for a moment. Was this gap chosen deliberately? Does the second person have greater control over the sales outcome? Do they have a shorter sales cycle, a shorter territory, or a more reliable flow of leads? Or did the company simply copy last year's plan? Did they just follow a competitor or stick with a structure that nobody has questioned for years? In many organizations, pay mix looks deliberate because the percentages are precise. But let's be honest, precision does not always mean intention. A 50-50 split looks carefully designed on paper, but often nobody can actually explain why half of a seller's expected income should hang in the balance. That is why pay mix deserves way more attention than it gets. Pay mix isn't just a tool to motivate people. It is a strategic decision about how financial risk is divided between the business and the employee. A higher fixed salary means the company carries the uncertainty. A larger variable component transfers that uncertainty directly to the seller. Now, that transfer can be totally fair if the seller has strong control over the results. It works if the sales cycle is short, the territory is rich, and performance can be measured accurately. But that same level of risk becomes incredibly hard to defend when success depends heavily on customer budgets, product quality, internal pricing approvals, or market conditions. The rule of thumb should be simple. A seller should carry the risk they can genuinely influence. The company should carry the uncertainty created by the business itself. Let's look at two contrasting examples. First, consider a salesperson working in a mature market. They have a recognized product, a steady flow of inbound opportunities, and a short sales cycle. This person can increase their prospecting, improve their follow-up, and directly close more business within the quarter. The connection between action and result is crystal clear. For them, a heavily variable component feels fair. They can see how their daily choices dictate their earnings. Now, compare that to someone selling a complex enterprise software solution. A single deal might take 9 months or longer to close. The seller has to depend on technical specialists, legal teams, product experts, and senior leadership. They can manage that opportunity flawlessly and still watch the customer delay the decision until next year. Their contribution matters enormously, but individual effort is just one moving part in the massive system. So, giving that enterprise seller the same high risk pay mix as someone closing small transactions every week makes no sense. It looks consistent on paper, but the two roles do not offer the same amount of control. Modern selling makes this issue even more critical because one seller rarely works alone anymore. When collaboration is essential to closing a deal, compensation design shouldn't force one person to carry all the downside while depending on 5 other teams for the win. Consistency is not the same as fairness. Some companies mandate a 50-50 structure across the board because it's easy to administer. But think about it. An account executive, a customer success manager, a sales engineer, and a channel manager all contribute to growth, but they do so in completely different ways. And giving every single role the same pay mix falsely assume they all have the same exact influence over the final signature. But in reality, they don't. Now let's look at an extreme case of 100% commission. 100% commission is the ultimate example of transferring all the risk to the seller. In this model, there is no safety net. You earn only when a sale occurs. This can work in highly transactional environments where loops are fast and frequent, but it is indefensible when a product takes months to learn or when delivery delays out of the seller's control can kill the deal. So when a commission-only seller performs beautifully but goes on months without income because of internal product delays or company pricing shifts, they aren't just carrying performance risk anymore, they are carrying the business risk. And that is the vital distinction I want to leave you with today. Performance risk belongs to the seller. It is about how well the prospects negotiate and manage conversation. Business risk belongs to the company. It is about product availability, market entry, service failures, or undeveloped territories. The line between the two will never be perfectly clean. Sales will always be a mix of both. But variable pay should reward sellers for managing the risk they can control. It should never become an easy way for a company to outsource its own operational uncertainty. So the next time you review your sales compensation plan, look past the precise percentage. Ask yourself, who is actually carrying the weight of this risk? Thank you for listening to Sales Comp Decoded. If you find today's episode valuable, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and share with your revenue leadership team.